And gentlemen, I hope you can hear me okay. We are live with yet another interesting talk from Infinion. Let's check in with our main host before we begin. I'm going to introduce all of you guys. And hello there. Is this Mr. Pixel or is this Adam?
This is Adam Mack. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Doing great. Looking forward to another exciting spaces from Infinion. Another good topic. Very interesting one this time. So yeah, great to be here again.
Absolutely. As always, it's a great day. It's a great week to be in the crypto ecosystem. Got my good vitamin water that I just got, experimental vitamin water that apparently this bottle can't even stand normally, so I have to lay it down. But anyway, we're going to go ahead with today's space. If you are, I see some of the people that are scheduled to speak today in the listeners, please make sure to send in a request. I'm talking to you, Marcelo. I'm talking to you, Cody. Send in a request. I'll pull you guys up, and we're going to have an interesting conversation and talk about supply chain in Web3. Is it possible? What does it actually mean? So let's discuss. Let's discuss indeed. Let's start with some introductions. Do we have Hannah from Centism, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, still me. This is Hannah. Glad to be here today. GM everyone. Happy July. It's a new month is coming. Excited to be here again in this conversation. For someone who haven't know about it yet, Sentinel AI is a data AI protocol. Basically, we are building a stack of AI agent just can make it the complex on-chain stuff simple and smart for everyday users. So currently already on board more than 25 monthly active users on our Telegram mini app and our another flagship product called Launch Asian token creation platform already live on mainnet. And yeah, supply chain in Web3 is a great topic to this day and also to kind of let's explore how we can solve this problem with Web3. Excited to be here. Let's get started.
Awesome. Thank you for joining. Always love to have you here, Anna. We've got a great deal of speakers and pulling everybody up right now. If you are a scheduled speaker, please make sure to send in a request. Cody, welcome aboard. How's it going, man?
GM, how are you, my friend? This is Cody.
Doing good.
You got me drinking my Red Bull this morning.
Nice.
Now I'm choking on it. Yeah, so this is Cody behind the Layer 1X handle. I'm the Chief Engagement Officer over there. We are a fully decentralized Layer 1 blockchain that is focused on interoperability, true native interoperability. We've built our own VM and consensus models from the ground up. We run two VM models. That makes us both EVM and non-EVM compatible. And the cool part is that we can move not only assets, but data and logic as well cross-chain without the use of a bridge, making it faster and cheaper, more secure, and all that around. So thanks for having us. Should be a great topic today.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I'm not very experienced in supply chains, but let's discuss. I want to understand them better. Marcelo, in the face of Soulbound, has joined us on our space. How's it going, man?
Doing amazing, even better now that I'm with you guys. Yeah, super happy to be here. This is Marcello, head of spaces at Soulbound. We are a Web3 streaming platform. We've got a lot of cool stuff as well. We're really looking out for the creator and for the community. You get to earn XP, which very soon, when we do our TGE, you'll get a nice allocation depending on how active you are on the platform. But yeah, super happy to be here. Thank you so much for having us, and I'm excited to talk about this topic.
Absolutely. I'm really, really interested in this topic, so we're going to discuss it in detail. I got some great questions prepared for you guys. I'm approving N1 versus request to come up on stage. I don't know why they're not coming up. I have no idea why. Miai, I'm also inviting you. Please come up on stage, send in a request. We'd love to have you and hear your thoughts. Illuminary AI, long time no see on our spaces. How are you feeling today, friend?
Hey, I'm great. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Long time no see, but we are here and we are here with interesting things. For those that doesn't know what Illuminary is, Illuminary AI it's a wallet, uh, and basically we are trying to bring AI features into a wallet. And right now we had a new launch of a new product like Illuminary Hub, the Web3 command center. Yeah, we're here and we are eager to start this conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Nice. Welcome, welcome. NY Verse. Welcome aboard. I don't believe we've talked. I don't think we've talked before. Go ahead and introduce yourself. How's it going?
I'm doing good, man. Hope everyone can hear me.
Yep.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I've joined the conversation, get to interact with a lot of amazing people around here. So yeah, and basically let everyone know what Animal Verse is all about. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining. Glad to have you. All right, let's dive into today's topic. But before we do, Infinion, Mr. Adam, glad to have you with us. Happy to have the honor to have you, sir. Please go ahead and introduce Infinion. I've heard you introduce it before, and I love your introduction and your conceptualization of Infinion. So go ahead, tell our listeners, for those that don't know, what Infinion does, and let's dive in.
Sure. Well, thanks everyone for coming. Another good spaces, some great speakers, great projects up here. So really appreciate everyone jumping in. Infinion is a layer 2 blockchain built on Ethereum. We have the main concept of Infinion and the whole ethos behind Infinion is basically recycling all revenue generated back to the chain, back to the ecosystem, back to the users, the developers. So through all dApps and everything built on the chain, as well as the blockchain itself, everything gets recycled back in. And how that is done is we have an ever appreciating underlying asset, which is our Infinion Plus asset. So all transactions across the chain, there is a smart allocation of gas fees that are used to go back into the smart contract of the Infinion Plus underlying asset. And what that does is it appreciates when it's basically hedged against ETH. So at the very inception of this, let's say the first transaction of the blockchain, it would have been a one-to-one value with ETH. But every transaction that happens, there's more ETH kicked into that contract from the allocation of the gas fees, and it keeps increasing. So, in whatever, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, that 1 ETH would now be 1.2 ETH. So everything that's built on the chain, every token that's launched on the chain is paired with that Infinion Plus asset. So as that increases in value, so do everything built on the chain also goes up with that value because of that pairing. So that's how our ever appreciating mechanic works under the hood. We also have our own native DEX, bridge, wallet. We have our Infinion bits, which are our blockchain income tokens. Again, that's another way, 5% of everything across all of our suite of products and the chain itself. Go to anyone that's holding a bit. We launched those, we actually dropped all, they've actually been sold out now for a long time, but we launched them officially into people's wallets. We airdropped them maybe about 2 weeks ago. One of our main products, which is it's live right now on 3 chains. It's our multi-chain token launcher. It's live now for Infinion chain, obviously, BNB and Base. We're about to launch Solana on it, which we're about to do a big marketing push for that as well in the next. I hope we're testing right now, so I'm hoping the next week or so we should be pretty much ready to launch that. And the whole idea behind that again is trying to create fair launches for community, avoid sniper bots, scams, rogues, and allow people that they're serious, they want to build a good product or project. They've got a good community, and we all know how launches go on, other platforms like Pump Fun and stuff like that. Everyone gets hyped up, they build something good, they've got a good active community, then they launch and everything goes pear-shaped, it gets sniped, and people are getting, someone gets in at 2K and another one at 50, they dump on everyone when it bonds and all that kind of stuff. So our big feature there is our initial community offering, which allows everybody to get in at the exact same price point during the bonding phase. So whether you got in at 2 or 50, everybody gets the exact same price point. And once that community offering is filled and it launches, everybody has the same amount, and everybody got in at the same price. So it really is a truly fair launch. So that's basically what we're doing. I won't drag it on any longer than that. There are other features in there. Again, 50% go back to the devs when they bond, all this kind of stuff. So we're pushing a huge incentive for that in the coming week or so. But yeah, go check it out. I'll pin up our white paper there as well for anybody who does want to look into it. But yeah, that's Infinion. Thanks everybody for being here, and really looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely. What a great intro. We got another speaker just in the time. 3NS domains. I just realized it's hey, how's it going? I just realized 3NS as in ENS and then 3NS.
Yeah, that's great. Can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah.
Sound okay, fine. Great. Yeah, look, yeah, sorry I'm running a bit late. So yeah, 3NS, similar to ENS, we are the DNS infrastructure for AI agents. So unlike ENS and BNS and other maybe Solana naming service and other naming services who originally came in to, let's say, decentralize or introduce sensor resistance to ICANN. So just a little bit of history here. So when you type in a URL into the browser, let's say google.com, for example, that gets translated into what's called an IP address, and that IP address then resolves to some place on the internet, right? Whether that be a website or an endpoint or something. And those domain names are regulated by an organization called ICANN. And so and so what happens is if ICANN don't like you, let's say, for example, for whatever reason, they then can censor you, right? They can pull your website down. In reality, that doesn't really happen that often, but ENS and BNS and others came along and saw that, and true to decentralized say principles, wanted to decentralize the ownership of that. So they created a DAO, and instead of resolving to an IP address, it resolved to a wallet address, right? So perhaps some of you on the call have a .eth address or a .btc address or something like that. And that's great. There's a DAO that runs in background, so censorship is quite limited, or is difficult, unless you go against the consensus protocol, we get 51%, etc., which is unlikely to happen. And then the next evolution of that was companies like Unstoppable Domains, right? So Unstoppable came along, and instead of supporting just one blockchain, for example, if you have a .eth address, until recently you could only accept ETH. If you got a BTC address, you could only accept BTC. So Unstoppable came along and allowed you to add multiple wallet addresses, right? But again, they sort of eroded the censorship, the censorship resistance there, because they were a company. But in either case, from DNS to ENS to Unstoppable, if you think about the utility of these things, it's not really that high, right? So being able to mask your wallet doesn't really add a whole lot of utility to you or to the whole ecosystem, right? So 3NS is the next evolution of that. So we have .web3 domains, and they come with really three axes of utility. The first is that the
Okay, all right, all right.
yeah.
We don't need the whole
Oh,
history.
go ahead.
Just
Yeah,
wanted you
okay.
to introduce yourself
All
because
right.
we
Yeah,
got
sorry, I got
our
carried away there.
topic.
Yeah.
Because I'm really curious about what you think about this topic. So why don't I throw
let's
you a
jump in.
question right away? Actually,
Yeah.
so what do you think are the core functions in traditional supply chains that blockchain can uniquely solve, not just digitize? I think it's a very relevant question. Why don't you start?
So I mean, absolutely. So if you look at supply chains at the moment and how they are tracked, whether that be physical goods in the form of let's say diamonds as an example, right? So they currently have a stamp, right, and they go through certain ports or organizations that attach other types of stamps to those things, right? And blockchain in that kind of scenario has proved to be more efficient in a few different ways, right? So firstly, in the coordination of those different stamps, so having some regulatory body that is across different jurisdictions and is trusted by multiple different parties is difficult in itself. And being able to tie it back to the end user, let's say you go and buy your diamond from De Beers or wherever it might be, you're putting trust into the reseller, right, to have checked those things. And perhaps if you go one step further, you might be able to see some of the, let's say, stamps that have been made along the way. Blockchain, by its nature, allows you to have transparency on those along. If you think about stamps being transactions, it gives you a certain amount of transparency that and efficiency, and that's key in supply chains. Making things cheaper makes blockchain more relevant to our lives, right? And so wherever there's efficiency gains, that's where a technology is going to get widely adopted and where we will see mass adoption. So that's kind of my take on it for the physical goods. Now if you think about that in terms of digital goods, like and your data in particular, which is very relevant within today's world of AI, how your data is being used and how let's say royalties are accumulated through that supply chain, again is analogous to a physical good. So hopefully that kind of kicks off the story. I don't want to hog the microphone again here. But yeah, that was sort of some of my thoughts on it. I'm happy to hand it back to the host to kind of kick off from there and get
that's a really good point. I remember I used to work for a publishing house actually back in previous life, and we had this like weird, really weird import as procedure. I don't know why they had it. I think they still have it. They have this like I don't know. They authenticate these things that like the books that come through on the border through documentation. It's so much paperwork. I remember one of my coworkers made a thesis about how to digitize it, and I'm thinking that could be the next step. Like blockchain verifications theoretically sound like the next step for it. I'm wondering if we can actually put that in practice so that it actually works and not just over complicates the process in of itself. Marcelo, I see your hand up. Over to you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, loving the discussion already. I think this is an interesting topic, right? So, what does the blockchain have to offer when it comes to traditional supply chains, and what are the differences between implementing Web3 when it comes to that, right? So, I think there's a few different points, whether it's tracking and traceability, documentation and compliance, contracts and payments, authentication, and anti-counterfeiting. I think having things on chain just makes things much more effective and transparent, right? So, just beginning with tracking and traceability, traditionally, obviously, information is tracked within siloed databases, barcodes, manual entries, and it's also prone to human errors and maybe sometimes manipulation. But with Web3, having using blockchain gives us immutable real-time tracking across different stakeholders from every stage, right? So not just from like the raw material all the way to the consumer, everything is recorded and verifiable really by anyone simply because it's on chain, right? So an example could be a coffee bean could be traced from the farm all the way to your cup from every checkpoint, verified all on chain, right? So that's incredible because it really shows obviously the transparency piece, but you know where everything is going, you see where everything is, and obviously it makes things a lot more legit. Obviously the documentation and compliance piece. I think that um, traditionally, usually, you'll use paper-based or centralized digital records, whether it's invoices, custom forms, certificates. Web3, we do everything with smart contracts. So smart contracts could store, verify, and enforce digital compliance, whether it's for customs, ICO certification, all that beautiful stuff done automatically, right? So we could have automatic verification of organic certifications, for example, before goods even hit the new market. So I think that's incredible. Makes things a lot simple, and everything is automated, making things a lot more legit. To that means, and then I think contracts and payments. That's another means, right? Everything through smart contracts enables instant conditional payments upon delivery, reducing friction and obviously any payment disputes. Whereas typically, traditionally, you would everything would be done with invoicing would be done manually. Sometimes you get delayed payments. You always have intermediaries, so everything done through banks. There's always business day delays. Sometimes you'll send a payment, you'll get it the next week. With crypto, you could get it in the same hour, right? So that's what's beautiful. And I think my last piece, without rambling on too long, authentication and anti counterfeiting, right? So traditionally, how do we verify legitimacy of things? It's literally just through labels. Sometimes maybe QR codes, which could also be faked. If you use things on chain, just with having a digital twin as an NFT, it's really hard to tamper proof to tamper the proof of authentication with that, as it Web3 really enables tamper proof identifiers that are tied to physical goods. So one example could be luxury handbags, for instance. You have a Louis Vuitton bag. If it comes with an NFT certificate that's stored on chain, it's going to be really hard to prove whether or prove against that it's not real and whether it's fake or not, right? So those are a few examples that come up. I think obviously Web3 and the blockchain, having everything on chain makes information transparent and traceable in a way that hasn't we haven't been able to see before, which removes a lot of the manipulation and fakery that we might that anybody could really do, traditionally speaking. But having everything on chain, it gets really hard to do that. So I think it improves it enormously and makes things much more legit. But yeah, those are some points that come to mind when I think of supply chains with Web3.
Man, what a great take, and so many good points. I've been thinking about one thing I wanted to add. Um, Tamper proof. It's a really good, yeah, especially for because we're talking about supply chain, right? Supply chain is for, I mean, mainly done in the back end, meaning that people that do things that are, people that are more or less educated. So it's not like we're talking about like the front end user. In this case, in this topic, and in this conversation, we mean people mainly working on the supply chain that are professional, meaning they understand immutability, they understand the whole idea of how blockchain works. They probably have a lot of good interface as well to keep up with the understanding. So all of that makes a lot of sense, and it sounds very promising. I wonder how we can how implement about the implementability of it all. And one verse, I see your hand. Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, man. I I actually love the conversation so far, and I think as transparency and traceability are a big part of the whole thing, right? But one more thing is auditability, right? I mean, the blockchain, does record payment records, right? Um, it makes compliance, for auditing, like and this will release resolution more efficient. So I think that is a big part of what supply chain 1.3 can bring in. And also, I just want to like talk about N1 chain, right? And in particular, because N1 chain is more focused on apps, right? And it's going to come mainnet very, very soon. And which is why N1 Verse is thinking or wants to build on N1 chain. And I think Jules is there. Jules, are you there? I think Jules is one of like the team members in N1 chain, and what they're doing is very, very great for the whole ecosystem in general. And I think um, in time to come, it's going to be a big thing, right? And we're going to do amazing things. So yeah.
Yeah, chains need to be interoperable as well. That's what I'm totally pushing for as well. Cody, excited to hear your educated thoughts.
100%, man. Supply chain will not thrive on Web3 until there is true native interoperability adopted across the board. Um, Bridges just don't cut it. It's got to be native in the sense that data and logic can be moved very quickly, securely, and cost effective, right? And that's why a lot of these projects are not able to thrive very well, is because of the cost of things. And so when you look at the supply chain thing, we do definitely have a huge opportunity to basically bridge the gap, because if you think about Web 2 and all of the different systems, all the different steps in that system, not every single step in that supply chain uses the same software, uses the same kind of data across the board. So being able to unify that, even though they are using different systems through blockchain technology, is going to be paramount, because we know that Web 2 does not play nice with other Web 2 products, right? Unless it's their own product, then they'll share the data. But this is something that I'm definitely looking forward to with the supply chain side of things. But you know, uh, you brought up a good point. When you think of supply chain, you think of the back end. But in reality, it's actually, there's a thing called reverse logistics, which is like once you get a good or service, it's also, how if you need to basically return the product, repairs, recycling, the disposal of a certain product, even to the transfer or sell of that product to something else. Marcello kind of talked about it a little bit with the handbag, authentication, being able to take that and then be able to sell it. I mean, not only for us being able to control our own data, but to have data applied to products is going to be paramount, because it's huge, right? Take the U.S. for an example. In the U.S., there are three main auction sites for cars, right? Three main players. And it's amazing, because if you look at those three auction houses, the amount of transport things down to the like local dealerships, that kind of stuff on, I'm talking secondary market type of thing. There is such a huge disconnect. There is like data flying all over the place. Nobody knows. A lot of times when you buy a car at the auction and you try to transfer it to a local dealership, I mean, you have to get somebody with a transport that can basically move the car vehicle for you, but they have to provide their insurance. They have to show that they're bonded. And I mean, this is pretty shady. The only reason why I know this is because I've got a client that's in this. And half the time, the driver's insurance is not up to date. They're not bonded. And so if they get in a wreck, you're totally screwed out of your car. And half the time, that's where a lot of these cars, you hear horror stories of like, hey, I bought this like, $150,000 sports car and it's supposed to be delivered to me in California. And then all of a sudden it ends up in Florida because somebody's trying to hijack your car, right? And so having that VIN number on your car and being able to see all the history of like where it was purchased, all that kind of stuff makes it really simple for people to basically track it. Now, across the board, and you
Well,
can
in that
literally.
example, sorry to interrupt,
No, go
Cody,
for
but
it.
in that example, so it's a really good example because the authentication, and not to take it too far away from the example, but art collection works in a similar fashion. We have art collectors that really care about where on or in which hands the art has been. So in that example, I'm really curious, how do we institutionalize the what is it, putting it on chain so that it definitely is there? You know what I mean? Like whenever somebody sells, so does that responsibility fall on the actual institution that approves purchase decision? Like for example, you bought a car, you need to claim that car as legally yours, so you have to go to a, what is it called, the what the hell is it called? Like some city hall type thing, right?
Yeah,
So
it's like a
how?
chain of title, right? So
Yeah,
when you take possession of it, it's just like with the the package parcel service. You've got UPS, FedEx, United States Postal Service, wherever you guys are at. You guys all have your own thing. They have those barcodes that they scan so that you can see exactly point of destination of like where it's going, which hands it's kind of going through. When you can see when it goes through customs, when it goes to your local postal service office, that kind of stuff. That's where it's going to be paramount that people have like a universal kind of thing that can tap into it. Like for a car, it's a VIN. For a package, it's a barcode. For a pair of shoes that you might buy, it's the UPC label that's on the end. These are the kind of things that need to be able to speak globally to be able to attract people in and start kind of compiling all of that data together so that you can start seeing that chain of ownership or taking possession of the product all the way down to you receiving it.
right. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, it's a really good example actually. I think Santa's had her hand raised next. Go ahead, Hannah.
Yeah, that's great. First, I totally agree with Sabah because they see he already mentioned all of the like key problem and the solution that Web3 can have in supply chain, include the tracking, the payment, compliance. But I would just want to add one more thing on authenticities as they want access the SaaS because from my own point of view, recently I see a lot of bad news in Vietnam market because they have a lot of fake product and fake label being exposed so far. So for sure, for this Web3 or blockchain is something that can jump in and help them to like to solve this problem by authenticity with this they can know where the thing has come from, or who is handling, or whether they are real or not. So for example, if you have a strawberry or mango, it have like it's being marketing like organic product, but if we can track on their farm whether it's a branded good or it's not the real one, I think um, now the people cannot judge whether it's the real or not. So when we have Web3 jamming, like from the farm to factory to shipping, everything can log on chain, and so they can check trace on the certification back to the farm, and also the record cannot be like quietly edited or lost somewhere when they do the shipping or change the product, that they need to be trackable on a serial that they like they originally from. So I think with this we can review the shorts that we that's the traditional supply chain is losing in Vietnam market. And one more thing, because we are building like AI solution for DeFi. So one more thing that I think AI can and Jamin and have is that they can have some court check document or flag like red flag for product that is having loss or delay as well. So the manager can have the real action when it's really happened. And so for some case, if if for example if there is some audits that the manager have to reply or check, right now the AI they can do autonomous for this, and they can have it quicker and solve the problem easier. So that's my take.
Absolutely. It definitely makes stuff easier as long as we are, equipped with, as long as people are smart about it. People are, willing to learn, willing to move past, uh, the hurdles. And also, I think one of the big issues is making sure that it works globally. And I don't mean on the globe, but in it works in synthesis with different institutions, different organizations, and it's kind of like, I don't want to say regulated, because that's a different word from just like accepted, basically. Yai, go ahead. Let me ask you actually specific things regarding EU. I think it would be even easier to adopt some of the blockchain tech for specific uses in supply chain within EU. What's your take on that?
Yeah. Hey guys. Sorry I was late. Yeah. Hope you're having a good morning. I actually have a good example about this because I did an internship, I think, like 5 years ago when I finished my university, and it was a shipping company in Germany. And I think the thing is, it's very funny even till this day. What the like the software that they're using, because it's more like very corporate style movement within that system. They use emails like PDFs like for very high end communication, and also like CRMs and so on. We tried pitching even our AI agent to handle this kind of stuff, like for the minor documentation side, and we were rejected outright. Like they don't want anything related to this. So when it comes to Web3, so far what I know, I don't know how it works in the US or how open they are, but especially in the EU in the shipping industry, like they don't even have their own plan to build something like this. Maybe in Amsterdam, maybe in Netherlands, but definitely Germany and the other places, they're still against it. And during my stay, I can tell you a good example. There was a shipment, like with my internship, like it was just my first day, and there was a shipment going from Vietnam to Rotterdam, and like this company was responsible for handling all the paperwork and port check-ins and checkouts. So what I noticed is that there are at least on each ship, like that is departing from each port, at least there are between 30 to 50 touch points. And this includes what many of you mentioned here, like the insurance, customs, warehouses, buyers, and many other irrelevant middlemen. and they all take commission or some way like contribute to your expense. For example, if you are like buying like one cargo or one container from China, you basically maybe will be charged maybe 2,000 euros or whatever, and basically that comes out on this, like this middleman basically takes have something in that money. And one tiny mistake, which I also did during my internship, like I misspelled a person's name, just delayed some like cargo, one specific cargo for 3 weeks. And this usually happens in these scenarios. And like, and the thing is that we know, for example, from the company side, we know that I made a mistake. I was an intern and so on. But the other team members or in the other side of location, they don't even know what is going on, what happened. They just know that it's being delayed and they have to wait. So it's very disconnected, not at all in any way like understand with each other. They just it's a common thing, so they're used to it. They don't even ask about it. And I would say, even jumping before to AI to solve this problem, I would say to perfect the Web3 system, in this case, replacing this system or to automate the system would be the best idea, to make them feel good with Web3 and then introduce AI agents to automate this Web3 and completely remove human touch even. Um, so from the Web3 side, I would say like each shipment can have their own wallet. This is the simplest way. I think that would help out, especially for Europe and for other countries as well. And each will have their own wallet, and then smart contracts. Everything is listed, and they can see who has paid the documents and who is like ready to sign, to talk to customs, update ports wherever it's located, if it's in India or other location, and then it automatically removes most of these people, like this unnecessary titles and unnecessary individuals just taking money out of basically consumers. And then I would say like it also builds logic like to the shipment, and it doesn't just sit in the database. It also learns. You can sell this data for other companies so they can adapt it. Like there's a lot of ways to benefit amongst themselves, amongst that space. And yeah, so basically for customer also, it's like no more chasing at 2 o'clock, or like you checking emails, where's my package, and waiting in line to just see if it's like coming to you or not coming to you. So yeah, I would say this would help. And after this has been fully implemented, then introduce AI agents to even automate this stuff. Then the next step would be just to wait, and if there is a problem or if something is delayed, then the AI agent will automatically trigger something that you already installed, in this case as a plan B. Maybe call this person for specific problem. So it doesn't have to go through 5-10 people to just be transferred from one department to another department to reach to the relevant person. So I think this will help grow this system, but they are very negative so far with Web3.
Yeah, they are
Yeah.
very negative. And so I'm really curious about what Adam thinks. Adam, is there a way, first of all, for us to institutionally adopt this with the current technology that Web2 has right now, which is not very, forward thinking? Let's answer this, and then we'll move on to. I have another question that I'm really curious about. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, well, I mean, as everybody else here had a great take on it. Right now in the Web2 world, when they're talking about supply chains, there's just so many different pinch points. And like me, I was saying, there's so many different middlemen with their hands in the pot. Um, and I definitely think that a lot of that can be cut out with Web3. And maybe there is a more cynical aspect to it too, why people don't want to adopt Web3, and because you would have that level of transparency, and maybe there is pinch points along the way where people are skimming off, and obviously it all comes back to the consumer having to pay more, and you get these inefficiencies all along the way. So when you're going from whatever goods or service that you're getting, and you want to, obviously when you're talking about global trade, there is just so many obstacles along the way, going from country to country, and currency to currency and all that. um Different customs, and all this kind of stuff. Different countries have different tax rates, and there's just it's just so complicated depending where you're coming from. Maybe, you know, when you're internal within the EU, it's maybe a little bit more simpler, but once you go outside and you're coming from different countries and regulations and, you know, financial regulations, all that kind of stuff, there is just so many different obstacles along the way. And I think one of the big parts, which I think Cody brought up as well, is that interoperability. So to really get that Web3 adoption, I think interoperability is going to be one of the huge factors in all this. But again, it comes to, you know, us in the Web3 space having that framework in place before it would ever be adopted by like a global company or all that kind, you know. So, you know, as soon as we have that taken care of on the Web3 end, and it is actually very plausible and clear for a company, and that framework is robust on the Web3 end, that companies can look at it and say, yeah, well, that, you know, that makes sense. That cuts out on a lot of expense for us, and you do have that transparency level as well. And even, you know, even as Miai was saying, when you're looking at, let's say, each entity would be a wallet or a contract, and you can track it from one source to the next, and you say, yeah, it's here, it's in customs here. You know, that can obviously be brought to a very visual level from a consumer perspective. So they could just see that as a, you know, a map, even though on the back end we'd see it as wallets and contracts and all this stuff getting taken care of. But let's say on a consumer level, they can say, oh, where's my item? You know, where's my handbag or whatever it is, and they can look at it on a very visual level. So, you know, a more user-friendly level where you don't have to know anything about contracts or codes or blockchains or anything like that. So, you know, I think it's on us in the Web3 space. I know Cody had his hand up there to make a point on this as well. So, you know, it's on us in the Web3 space to get this framework, this robustness down with the interoperability side to really gain mass adoption on a front like that. That's my take.
Yeah, absolutely. Institutional or interoperability means also the aspect of just you know, institutional investors or institutional players, such as the city hall or any other type of important player, to acknowledge this in a similar way that, for example, in Dubai, you can purchase land and you can mm, take it abroad as an NFT, let's say. But I don't know if you can actually enforce it. So enforceability is one big ass thing that we need to take into account. That's the main thing, that people need to be able to enforce this, especially if you travel to a third world country, you know, in Eastern Europe, somewhere in Africa, somewhere in Asia, where it's not as well. Asia is the most developed in terms of Web3, I think. They've got a bunch of payments that enable blockchain, that are blockchain compatible and stuff like that. But what if the country doesn't have the capabilities to check your wallet? What happens then? It's a really interesting thing to ponder on. Cody, I know you had your hand raised. I know you got to respond to what Adam just said. Go ahead.
Yeah, totally agree with what Adam just said, you know, about interoperability and all that kind of stuff. Um, I do have to leave here in just a minute, but I do want to drop this point as well. Is, you know, from a Web 2 perspective, you know, each of these Google, Facebook, Meta, whatever you want to call it these days, all these different companies are creating their own kind of databases, right? Of all this data that they can turn around and sell. Uh, Web 3, we really need to take the blinders off of our eyes and look around to what can be done. Because if you look at what the ethos of Web 3 is all about, is literally it's all about customization, right? For me to be able to consume data the way that I want to consume it is totally different than Daddy Phil wants to, and Adam wants to, and Marcello wants to, you know, type of thing. We shouldn't be bound by specific platforms like we have been accustomed to in Web 2. You know, so what I mean by that is like these chains, they are data lakes, in the sense that you can go and build applications, AI, almost SaaS products that will literally draw the data out of these chains because they're public, right? And basically make it so that you're consuming it, you're using that data any which way that you can, and then you're contributing data to the blockchain as well. So if we go back to the handbag analogy that Marcello did early, right? Maybe I'm a reseller of Louis Vuitton bags on eBay, for an example, or Amazon or one of these big e-commerce places, right? So I'm contributing the data that I'm taking ownership of this through maybe the transfer of that NFT, and then I'm turning around and selling it to Marcello, who's going to be a reseller again, or maybe he's just buying it for his boardroom of girls that he's got, beaten off a stick with, type of thing. So he's got to throw him handbags, type of thing. And so, those are the kind of things that he's contributing back to the blockchain on, that somebody else can come and pick up down the road and be able to turn around and sell as well. But the cool part about it is that if you want to verify the data is there, it's how you want to consume it, how you want to present it, and how you want to interact with it, which is going to be paramount, because a lot of people don't really realize that you could have a social media type site with no boundaries. Imagine having Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all these different things with no boundaries. You control the algorithm of what kind of data you want to pull in off the metadata. You could literally create your own algorithm for social media posts that are going out there, especially if the social media posts are being printed as NFTs, right? That is paramount. And you're not contributing to just one chain. You could pull in across 36, 100 different chains that are out there. You could pull all that information in because, again, it's public. It's how you want to view it. And in my opinion, Web3 is going to be the OS, the customizable OS that's not going to be bound by Windows, and it's not going to be bound by Mac.
Really good take. Really, really good take. I was researching self-hosting and more self-custody as much as possible, and it's really, really difficult. It's not an easy feat. So yeah, it's always interesting, the way we envision the world, and the way we kind of make it make it happen in a sense. But yeah, it's always interesting how people, especially people from different backgrounds, such as you guys, and very interesting experience backgrounds, I want to say, envision this. N1, I see your hand. Do you want to say your piece?
Yeah, I do. I do. I just went back to what I think Martin said, right? Where he tried to like pitch AI agents to a certain a company, and it got like refused, right? And one thing we do wrong in the Web3 space is tone and messaging, right? We think there are different government, different institutions, right? Different cultures, right? If I go to Africa, right, and I'm trying to like preach a certain thing, right, there's a way I'm supposed to tune it, where I'm supposed to message it, right, that they can get it. Because most of the guys in the official rules do not know about Web3 or know anything about it. So it's all about messaging. How do you let these people know, right, that if you do it this way, right, it's better for you than doing it this way? How do I say that? How do I make it relatable to them, right? I mean, if it's the US, a couple of people are more known to, they understand the whole basis of Web3, right? So the message is going to be different. If I go to Asia, right, and I want to say something, right, that we can, let's say, for instance, a product, right? You can use NFTs, right, to check tracking of the product. How do I tell this person, right, that has no idea what is going on, right? How do I tell him that this is what is going to help you? This is how I'm going to like set it up for you, and this is how it's going to go. That everything works in line for you. And another thing about government officials and institutions, right? Everybody wants something in their pocket, right? And if you say you're coming with a certain innovation, a certain new technology, right? they always want to know what is in it for me, right? What do I gain from this? And if they're not gaining, right, it's a problem. So we need to find a way, right, to message it, tune it, right, that you when you say it to them, they accept it. Because the messaging Web3 is mostly all about the technology, right? And a lot of people get lost in it. I think we need to refine it a bit so that everyday person can understand it and find a way to implement it too.
Yeah, there are different things. The way things have been implemented in the past, historically speaking. It's an interesting thing because some of the things we didn't even ask for, like Mastercard or Visa, or you know, those things were just implemented. Many of the things are implemented, and people start to use them because they just simply don't have any other choice. Um, there are things that you have to kind of force people to use, but yeah, it's or some things are, what would you say, they're forced upon companies themselves. When there is a request, there is a clear need or will from people, so it works both ways. um, but yeah, thank you, Cody, for joining. Thank you guys so much for joining. This will be probably it for today's Infinion Spaces. It has been yet another very fast hour because it goes so fast when you guys have such interesting thoughts. Adam, do you have any closing remarks, anything you want to tell our listeners before we tune in next week as well?
Yeah, a great space, guys. Thanks, Cody. I think he's gone actually there now. He had to run. He's probably got another one lined up. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Everybody had some great takes. I learned a lot myself from the space. Daddy Phil, always great co-host every time. Um, but yeah, interesting topic. I'm looking forward to see how all this, unfolds in the future and the Web 2 front. We do have to get countries and institutions crypto friendly. And on the Web 3 front, we got to get our framework and our interoperability where all chains, platforms communicate seamlessly with each other. And I think then, we do have a good chance at mass adoption, global adoption, and to implement stuff like this that, ultimately comes out best for the consumer and, more efficient, cheaper, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's my take on it. With regards Infineon, we've got tons of stuff coming up. Like I said, we've got our Solana launch coming up here very, very soon in the next few weeks. We're testing right now. So please go and check it out. The white paper is up top. Come over to our Telegram anytime, jump in, questions. We're always open to partnerships and collaborations and stuff like that. We're looking for developers, people to build on chain, use that underlying tech that we have there at the moment. It really is something good and it is very beneficial for developers and users alike. So yeah, thanks again everybody for showing up. Thank you, Daddy Phil. Amazing host as always. Really appreciate everybody coming.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for joining, guys. This is it for the Infinion Spaces. We do this every single Tuesday at 1 p.m. UTC. Make sure not to miss it. We'll be back next week at exactly the same time to talk about more interesting stuff: Web3, NFTs, blockchain, crypto, everything in between. Until then, stay safe. We'll see you next time.